Charlie Kirk built an empire on being the man of conviction and the ultimate defender of conservative principles. For years, his support for Israel wasn't just a talking point, it was a core part of his identity, preached with the fire of true belief in Christian values. But in the latter years, something changed. The man who saw unwavering support for Israel as a moral duty started asking questions that made his powerful friends and donors uncomfortable. This shift, which his critics called a betrayal, fractured the conservative movement, turning allies into enemies. His assassination is now caught in a web of conspiracy theories because the official story is riddled with contradictions. We are told that we have a mind virus if we dig deeper into his assassination, a classic tactic used for decades to dismiss skeptics. But what we know is as clear as day. Turning Point is no longer the organization Charlie built, and its new direction is a 180-degree turn from where Charlie was heading in his final months. This is Alpha Signal. Beyond the headlines, beneath the lies. Before we begin, we have to remember who Charlie Kirk was. He wasn't just another talking head. At the center of his message was a deep Christian faith, which Kirk tied directly to the state of Israel. He called his trips there life-changing, viewing the nation as the fulfillment of prophecy and a partner in a civilizational battle. On stage, he passionately argued for Israel's right to defend itself, framing it as a clear-cut fight between good and evil. For a generation of young conservatives, Charlie Kirk wasn't just pro-Israel, he was one of its most important champions.
The first cracks in his pro-Israel stance were subtle. As Donald Trump's America First wing grew louder, its skepticism toward foreign aid and entangling alliances crept into the mainstream. Kirk started giving his microphone to people openly critical of the GOP establishment's foreign policy, most notably Tucker Carlson. While Kirk himself still claimed to be pro-Israel, allowing a voice known for questioning U.S. support for Israel on his platform was a huge deal for his donors. Donor backlash began to bubble up, with key financial backers alarmed by this perceived disloyalty. They saw giving a platform to any critic of Israel as a betrayal, demanding 110% loyalty. His own language started to change, openly questioning the wisdom of unconditional support. He began focusing on the nearly $4 billion in military aid the U.S. sends to Israel annually. He grew frustrated with what he saw as an effort to silence debate, complaining that any critique of Israel was being dishonestly labeled as anti-Semitic. He then began to publicly question the influence of powerful lobbying groups, asking if their priorities truly aligned with the interests of everyday Americans. To his donors, he was biting the hand that feeds him hard. On September 10, 2025, Kirk's ideological war came to a sudden, violent end. The official story claims he was shot by a sniper from a nearby rooftop. He was pronounced dead at a local hospital. The assassination shocked the nation and was widely condemned as an act of political violence. The official story moved quickly, too quickly. A manhunt led to the surrender of 22-year-old Tyler James Robinson, who was charged with aggravated murder in what prosecutors called a politically motivated attack. Almost immediately, the official narrative began to unravel. The first major discrepancy came from a ballistics report by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. Defense documents for the accused shooter, Tyler Robinson, revealed that the ATF could not conclusively match the bullet fragment recovered from Kirk's autopsy to the rifle found near the scene. While this inconclusive result does not prove the rifle was not used, for many, it was the first crack in the prosecution's case. Secondly, the weapon found near the scene was the .30-06, which is a caliber known for its devastating terminal impact. A round of that nature at such range should have caused catastrophic damage. However, the physical evidence at the scene did not align with how the round would actually behave if the powers that be are telling us the truth. Making matters worse, news emerged that the bullet had fragmented into smaller pieces upon impact, which is not typical for a standard .30-06 round. Whatever the case, it is obvious that the official account isn't the whole truth. Adding to the confusion, forensic reports indicated that the DNA found on several items, including the rifle, was a mixture from multiple people. This discovery complicated the case against a lone gunman and provided fuel for skeptics like Candace Owens, who suggested that powerful people were covering up a larger crime. These inconsistencies in the official story has led to a widespread belief that Kirk had been betrayed by those close to him, and that the true nature of the event was being hidden from the public. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, slowing down the footage of the shooting reveals, frame by frame, that he was shot in the back of the head, with the bullet exiting his neck a frame later. Watch it for yourself. Every piece of information coming from the powers that be is a lie. Tyler Robinson is a patsy. In the aftermath, Charlie Kirk's wife, Erica, stepped directly into the spotlight in a manner that many found unsettling. Immediately following her husband's death, she took over as CEO and chairwoman of Turning Point USA, a move the organization said Charlie had wished for. She embarked on a highly produced Make Heaven Crowded tour. Her swift pivot from grieving widow to movement leader struck many as jarring. Instead of shying from the public eye, she embraced it, launching speaking tours and taking firm control of the multi-million-dollar organization her husband built. While Charlie questioned foreign entanglements and powerful interests, Erica's new leadership appeared to align seamlessly back with the very establishment forces he had begun to fight. To understand the figure now steering this multi-million-dollar empire, we must look past the mourning veil and into a history that she has spent years trying to refine. Her public narrative is one of unwavering Christian devotion and an absolutely miraculous avoidance of the secular dating world before she met Charlie in a New York burger joint in 2018. During a televised town hall, she famously claimed that she did not date a single person during her 5-year tenure in Manhattan, citing a distaste for the drinking culture and a preference for theological study. This image of the pure partner was central to the brand they built together. Yet, it is a narrative that has begun to disintegrate under the weight of resurfaced footage and digital footprints. The first major lie in this story appeared when internet sleuths identified Erica as a guest on the 3rd season of the reality dating show Summer House. Filmed just months before she met Charlie, the footage shows a woman who appears entirely comfortable in the very social environments she later claimed to despise. She is seen drinking and navigating the reality television dating circuit, a totally different version of herself she presented to the conservative public. This lie is not merely a matter of personal privacy. It points toward a pattern of performance that critics have called a calculated attempt to secure fame through the right-wing establishment. Beyond the reality show appearances, local archives from her time in Arizona tell a different story than that of the solitary, prayerful student. Interviews from 2015 describe her relationship with a man named Tyler Massey, whom she openly referred to as her boyfriend during happy hour outings. These fragments of a past life suggest that the 5-year period of romantic fasting was a fabrication designed to heighten her appeal to a traditionalist audience. Therefore, it is not an exaggeration to say that everything we think we know about her is a lie. And that is, perhaps, the only truth about her that we know. So, did Charlie Kirk's ideological evolution lead to his death? The official account points to a lone, politically motivated killer. Yet the lingering questions about the bullet, the DNA evidence, and the actions of those left behind have created a permanent schism in the conservative movement he once led. His story is now a battlefield of competing narratives, a martyr for the right silenced by the left, or a man who got too close to a dangerous truth and was eliminated, with his legacy sanitized by those who inherited his empire and are subservient to the owners of the world order.
What cannot be denied is that his journey from staunch defender to outspoken critic and his sudden violent death ripped the curtain back on the fractures running deep through American conservatism. His assassination didn't just end a life, it ignited a war over his memory and the future of the movement he left behind. Turning Point USA is no longer the organization that Charlie built during his final months. It has performed a perfect 180-degree turn, realigning itself with the very pro-establishment forces he had begun to challenge. The populist fire has been extinguished in favor of a sanitized, donor-friendly corporate machine that prioritizes the interests of the elite over the grievances of the many. The response from the new leadership was both swift and dismissive. Charlie Kirk has moved aggressively to shut down any independent inquiry into the shooting, famously telling her audience to simply stop during a televised town hall. She has characterized the growing demand for a second look at the evidence as a dangerous mind virus that threatens the stability of the conservative cause. By framing curiosity as a moral failure or a threat to her family's privacy, she has effectively built a wall around the facts of September 10th. For those watching from the outside, this refusal to engage with the discrepancies suggests that the danger she speaks of is not a threat to the public, but a threat to the new institutional order that took over within days of the assassination. Branding inquiry as a mind virus is a calculated attempt to discredit critical thinking. It is the same reflexive dismissal used by the global elite to protect a convenient narrative from the facts that inevitably leak through the cracks of a cover-up. We are told that questioning the official story is a sign of instability, yet history proves the real sickness lies in the silence demanded by those who benefit from the new status quo. When the evidence fails to align with the public statement, the lies of the elites are visible for all with eyes to see. We are watching the recurring tragedy of history play out, where the courageous spill their blood while the owners of the world order are enriched. Charlie's skepticism of foreign aid and entangling alliances made him a liability to those who profit from perpetual military engagement. His passing is a brutal reminder that a movement built solely on the shoulders of a single strongman is destined to either crumble or be co-opted. Unless people build institutions that are larger than any one individual, organizations will always be turned the moment the leader is gone. Another vital lesson is one championed by the Red Pill movement. Men must vet their women with absolute rigor. Charlie Kirk built a legacy on conviction, but he may have failed to determine whether the person beside him was a true ally or merely an opportunist. For anyone of influence, this is a lesson to consider hiring a professional to uncover a complete history instead of relying on blind trust. The speed with which the movement was turned back suggests the vetting process was either ignored or, worse, that Charlie knew and allowed it for optics. For now, everything has been neatly filed away, the donors are satisfied, and the control of the narrative is expanding each passing day. We are left with only the age-old question: who benefits? This is Alpha Signal. Subscribe for the reality beyond the narrative.